So you've got a team, but what now? The next step is coming up with a team name. This may be one of the most important decisions you make as a team. The name has to stick out to the point it precedes your reputation. Take the FRC team, the Cheesy Poofs, for example. Although their names seem simple, every FRC member is able to recognize them. Since they haven't changed their name, it stands out, and obviously because of their reputation. Consider looking at a list of FTC names before you finalize your name. You may want to double-check the Orange Alliance to see if your team name has been taken. Most teams aim to make their team name something related to robots, but that doesn't have to be the case with your name. Take Venom, for example. Sometimes it can be something just random or fun, but it's important to stick to that name throughout your years as a team. Our team came up with our name based on our school mascot, the Avengers. We chose a Marvel-based name, hence the name Venom. Once you've decided on a name, it's time to come up with a logo. Your team is basically like your own mini company, since you have to market your team and the first program to the community. A logo will help the judges recognize your team.
The first step to creating a logo is brainstorming. You want your logo to be something related to your name. Make a list of words related to your team name and try playing around with the shapes and letters. For our example today, we will use the team name RGB Prism. Something that may help with the creativity process is the theme you want. The theme can be something techy, fluffy, modern, etc. Your logo needs to match the theme. Another thing that may help is your team colors. You probably want 2 to 3 colors. If you add more, your logo and brand will be too unsettling and not very customizable. So here's a small clip of me designing a logo from scratch. I'm using Canva on here, not Canva Pro. This is just a regular free version that anyone can get. And I'm using the team name RGB Prism. So when I think of that team name, the first thing that comes to mind is what is related to a prism? A triangle. So I took the basic shape of a triangle and then I'm starting to build off of that. So I put 3 because I wanted to incorporate 3 different colors. And I gave, RGB stands for red, green, and blue, right? So I gave each triangle its own color and I'm playing with the sizing and shape. So another thing to keep in mind is the theme of the logo that I want to make. I want the logo to have a techie theme, maybe a modern theme. So it needs to be simple. This brings me to the next step. Step 2, keep it simple. Ensure your logo doesn't take longer than a minute to draw. You don't need to be Picasso to make a logo. There are many logo making websites out there that can help. Another method is combining shapes together. Start off with a basic layout and build on top of that. I'm also playing with the translucency, but that's something you might want to avoid because sometimes translucency doesn't show up as well on colored backgrounds. This is something I made in literally 2 minutes, so I did not put a lot of effort into this. I just put whatever I could find out there. Going back to the 1 minute rule, you want the final product to be able to be drawn in a minute. So what I'm doing right now took me 2 to 5 minutes, but at the final product, you will find that it's a very simple design that can be drawn in a minute, maybe even 30 seconds. So that's something else to keep in mind. You don't want a very complex design. The problem with complex designs is that it's hard to see from very far away. So make sure that your logo doesn't have too much detail, but also keep it simple. Step 3, copyright. Quite possibly the most important thing to remember for your logo is to make sure that it's not copyrighted. Although it's quite tempting, believe it or not, but copyright laws still apply to small teams such as yours. The next step is embedding your team number and name into your logo. Some teams may have already done this, but it's always okay to have 2 different logos where one has your team number and name and one doesn't. What's the purpose of having a logo without your number? Well, it can be beneficial in certain designs or certain documents. For example, When your team logo needs to be small, but your team number and name need to be seen, this is a great method to use. Examples where embedding a number and name into your design would be beneficial include places where you need to print your logo big. For example, banners, portfolios, notebook covers, website homepages, etc. Now let's start designing. How do you choose the right font? Well, look back at your theme and choose a font. Simple as that. Okay, maybe not that simple. There are a ton of websites with free font packs. Choose a font that sticks out and suits your logo. Keep in mind that you typically do not write documents using this font. Next is placing your number and name onto the logo. Make sure it's the appropriate size for your logo and that it's easily visible. Typically, the name and number are placed smack dab in the center, but you can also place it on the top or bottom of your logo. Every design is different, so play around with the sizing and locations of the text. But it's important to keep your text large. Step 5, modifications. Something you also need to remember is to make sure your logo stands out against colored backgrounds. There are 3 main techniques to manipulate your logos for certain backgrounds. 1, adding a white border to your logo, kind of like a sticker. 2, inverting the colors. So if your background is black, make your text white and vice versa. 3, make a monocolored logo. That means making your entire logo one single color. You can use any color, but try to avoid using dark shades against dark backgrounds or light shades against light backgrounds. A great way to check if your logo colors will work is by using a contrast ratio checker, like the one used in this video. It's understandable that teams might want to change their design from year to year, but try to avoid making obvious changes. From here, you can start building your team theme pack, which consists of team colors, fonts, style, designs, etc. It's pretty much up to you and your team on what they want to include as a part of their theme pack.
Voila! Now you have a logo. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and comment on what videos you'd like to see next. Subscribe to see more content.